This video will be about our rain routine.
It started raining on us yesterday, rained all night long, and then it rained this morning. So we figured this would be a great time to kind of go over how to hike in the rain, how to set up camp in the rain, and then also how to tear down and continue hiking in the rain.
The first thing we're going to talk about is how we hike in the rain. So we don't really mind hiking in the rain. When it was a little colder, it wasn't as fun as it is now. Obviously, it's not really fun at all. It's now summer, it's July, so it's a lot easier for us to hike in the rain. The rain actually cools us off when we're that hot. So it was like 90 degrees a couple days ago, I think. And then now I'm in my R1 because I think it got down to like 70 or 65.
We love that when the rain comes and it drops the temperature, we love that. But then another thing in the summertime, sometimes the rain will come and it'll just make everything so much more humid. So we prefer the one where it brings the temperature down. The main things that we have just when we're hiking in the rain, we just throw on our pack covers, also just our rain jackets. I have a pretty cheap rain jacket. I think my rain jacket's from Walmart. And Tara has, you want to talk about your rain jacket?
A Gore-Tex, I think it's Marmot rain jacket.
Some people might think coming out here like, oh, I need to make sure I have my Gore-Tex rain jacket too. But something that we kind of find is she already had that jacket and it's great out here because it is breathable. And I mean, a Gore-Tex jacket is going to be better than especially one like mine, but it's not really a necessity. So before you go buy like a $100 plus rain jacket, just know you really don't need that. In the summertime, wearing a rain jacket, you're either going to be soaked through eventually from the rain, or you're just going to start sweating like crazy in your jacket. So that brings up a point for me. Sometimes I don't even wear it. I don't wear the rain jacket at all because I'm either going to be soaked through in sweat or I'll just be soaked in rain. And so if I need to get cooled off, sometimes I don't even throw the jacket on. So 1, we have our pack covers. 2, we have our rain jackets. And then 3, we'll talk about shoes real quick. We run into a lot of people who think waterproof shoes are the way to go.
And for some, they might be.
And for some people out here totally have waterproof shoes. Most people out here you will find don't. And there are a couple reasons for that.
If your shoes do get wet, they take a while to dry out. So the insides of it takes a while to dry out. And your traditional waterproof shoes will be heavier. So next is how we set up in the rain.
Yeah. What happens when you show up to camp and it's still raining? So it's something that we remind ourselves, 1, and this is really important just to kind of help you have a positive attitude, is just kind of reminding yourself that you will be dry again. So like if you're really soaked through, your feet are soaked through, your jacket's soaked through, everything, you're just walking in the rain. Sometimes you can get pretty down, but reminding yourself we will be dry again. Most likely in my tent, I will be dry again. Yeah. If you're in a shelter, you're definitely going to be dry in the shelter.
Or if you're not dry in your tent, you could go into town the next day and get dry. You're gonna get there. It's gonna happen.
You'll be dry again. And so that, I mean, we've told ourselves that multiple times and it does help.
So the second thing we like to think about, that we like to keep in the back of our head when we're setting up our tent, is one step at a time. So that really helps you in the long run in order to not rush through the steps to get dry again. You really want to take your time, and you'll be dry eventually. It's just going to take a little time. Don't rush it. That's what we found helps.
So step by step, what we do when we're setting up camp. First things first, we'll leave our pack covers on our packs and kind of put those to the side. We'll take out our tent, and this next part depends on how hard it's raining. If it's like a downpour, which we've rarely had to set up our tent in a downpour, hasn't really happened to us, luckily. But if it is a downpour, luckily with our tent, you can set up the rain fly, the rain cover, before you have to set up the tent inside. So if it's raining really hard, set up the rain cover just to make sure, just like have a
dry place to set up
your tent, and then you can pop up your tent as you go. If it's not raining that hard, which most of the time when we've had to set up in the rain, it's not that hard. With tree cover, with leaves, everything like that, it blocks a lot of the rain. What we do is we just kind of work together and really quickly set up our tent and then throw over the rain cover. It just seems like it's easier to do it that way.
Yeah.
And nothing really gets all that wet if we kind of go quickly and work together.
Yeah.
So.
And then even then you can go in your tent and wipe it down with something dry.
Yeah.
Just to make sure everything's dry in there before you put anything inside of your tent.
And then inside our packs, we have like big trash bags with all of our sleeping gear, all of our other clothes, everything like that. And so we'll just take the whole bag and throw it into our tent. So that's in there. And then we're still in our wet clothes. We jump in, change out of our wet clothes, and then we just start setting up our sleeping pads, sleeping bags, everything like that. So now we're out of the rain, our clothes are out of the rain. None of our dry stuff ever got rained on. And
saw the light of day.
Next, we're gonna talk about what happens if you wake up and it's still raining.
So you have your packs in your vestibule out here. And so what you're gonna wanna do is just pack everything up inside your tent and put it in there so everything's still dry. You're gonna put it inside that contractor bag that we talked about earlier and just stuff it in there and roll that thing shut. And so nothing will get wet. No sleeping bag, no clothes, no sleeping pads, no pillows.
You can just eat breakfast in your tent, especially since you're gonna be packing up and leaving camp. But if you're right by a shelter or if you're a couple miles away from a shelter, I would probably just recommend eating there. It's just always easier to eat at a shelter than eating in your tent. And so that includes lunches. Just map out your day. If it's going to be raining on you all day, what we do is we try to find a shelter to eat lunch at. Or if we're going to be walking through town, we'll eat lunch there or something like that. It's never really fun to eat while you're getting rained on.
Yeah. We've never had to do that.
And we've never had to do that. So really, especially out here on the AT, just plan out your day in the rain.
Yeah, you can find options. So, we're 3/4 through the trail and we haven't had any problems.
We haven't had to eat in the rain yet. All your dry stuff is put away, not gonna get wet. Now you have to change back into your wet clothes. And this is probably the worst part of anything that goes on in the rain. For me, because your wet clothes have been sitting all night, they're probably wet and cold now. You have to put that back on. And the reason why that's important is because if you're gonna be getting out back into the rain, you don't wanna get now all your dry clothes wet also. Just want one designated pair of wet clothes. But that means you have to put that back on and get back out into the rain. So unfortunately, it's definitely the worst part.
And the last thing about packing up is packing up your tent. Your tent is really wet because it kept you dry, it did its job. But you need to bring it with you because you don't want to get wet again. So you need to pack that sucker up. We typically do that together, just try to get it down and out and just stuff it in your bag. And obviously don't put it in your contractor bag, but put it next to that. I mean, it's not gonna get anything wet as long as your dry stuff's in the contractor bag. So finally, we have some tidbits for y'all about the rain.
One is we found hiking in the rain sometimes helps us hike faster. Probably because we know the sooner we get there, the sooner we get out of the rain. But that's kind of a perk, you know, like you're gonna get where you're going a little bit quicker. One of my favorite parts that comes with hiking in the rain is when the rain stops and the sun comes out. That's a great time to start drying all of your gear. Something we've done is taking a break, set up our tent, and it dries out really quickly, which is nice. Another thing you can do is take off your wet socks, put on a dry pair, and then sit those out in the sun, let those dry out. It's kind of funny, there have been times like us and a lot of our hiker family, our trail family, like we've all just set out our tents in a lawn. They're just sitting out everywhere and we're just drying everything out.
If you feel like a new person when the sun comes out. So that is our rain routine. We hope we helped some people with our advice and tidbits. If you do have any other advice for anyone out there, just comment below. Bye.
Bye.